I always thought the most dangerous mistakes were loud, obvious, impossible to ignore, but the truth is, the most dangerous ones start quietly, with a moment you don't pull away from, a look you answer instead of avoid, a line you never meant to cross, until you already have. This is the story of the one moment that changed everything, the moment I realized I wasn't afraid of him, I was afraid of myself. Before anything ever happened between us, before the line even blurred, there was a moment. Small, quiet, so easy to ignore, except I didn't. It was the way he looked at me that night, across the living room. Like he recognized something in me I had forgotten existed. Desire or hunger, or maybe just the simple devastating need to be seen. I'm 43, divorced, a house that echoes, a life that's been rinsed and folded and put away neatly for years, and he was 24, my best friend's son, someone I had known since before he even knew how to tie his shoes. Nothing about this should have happened. Nothing about this should have felt the way it did. But forbidden things rarely ask for permission, they just start. The reawakening, he'd moved into my guest room for a few months, a simple arrangement. Practical, helpful, harmless. That's what I told myself. But the truth, having him in the house brought something back: noise, footsteps, laughter, drifting from the kitchen, a presence that warmed the walls. I didn't realize how quiet I'd become until he filled the silence. He noticed things. Two things no one else bothered to see anymore. Your shoulders look tense, he'd say gently. You always cook too much. You don't sleep enough. You need to stop carrying everything alone. Every comment was soft, thoughtful, too aware. It should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel visible, dangerously visible. The first shift one night, he came home late, frustrated, tired, fighting something he didn't say aloud. I was folding laundry at the dining table, pretending my hands weren't shaking from how close he was standing. I turned down a job offer, he said. Why? He looked at me, really looked, and his voice dropped so low I felt it more than heard it. I didn't want to leave yet. The truth in that sentence slid under my skin like a spark, begging to be fired. After that night, everything changed, but nothing was spoken. We avoided brushing hands, avoided lingering in doorways, avoided each other's eyes like the truth was a match we were both afraid to strike. But desire has its own gravity, and we were orbiting closer every day. The night everything broke, it wasn't planned. It wasn't spoken. It wasn't even intentional. We were standing in the hallway, inches apart. The house was quiet, too quiet. His breath was unsteady. Mine wasn't much better. My name left his lips in a whisper that wasn't innocent anymore. He didn't touch me. He didn't have to. The air between us was already burning. Are you sure? He asked, voice trembling, like the question itself might shatter if he breathed too hard. I should have said no. I should have stepped back. I should have remembered all the reasons this could destroy us both. Instead, I closed my eyes, and that was enough. Not explicit, not rushed, just two people crossing a line they'd been circling for months, breath against breath, emotion against emotion. A collision that felt inevitable long before it finally happened. And afterward, the silence was louder than anything. He left the room quietly, like he was afraid of waking the world, and I sat there alone, trembling from everything we'd done, everything we couldn't undo. The aftermath, he avoided me for a day. I avoided myself longer. When he finally spoke, he stood in the kitchen like he wasn't sure he was allowed to breathe near me. I don't regret it, he said. I do, I whispered, and I don't. And I don't know which part is worse. He looked shattered. I felt shattered. We tried to go back to normal. It didn't work. Every room felt haunted. Every silence felt like confession. Every glance felt like we were doing something wrong, even when we were standing 10 feet apart. It was too much, too heavy, too dangerous. Finally, he said the words neither of us wanted to face. I need to move out. Not because he wanted distance, but because he knew staying meant falling deeper, and if we fell any farther, we wouldn't climb back. He left early the next morning. Quiet steps, soft door, no goodbye. The house felt empty again, but not the same kind of empty. This one hurt. What remains? We never spoke of it, not to each other, not to his mother, my best friend. Some secrets don't have tidy endings. Some desires don't fade. They only learn how to live in the dark. And even now, sometimes, without warning, I feel it all again. The tension, the closeness, the way he looked at me like I wasn't someone's friend, someone's mother, someone past her time. Like I was simply a woman deserving to be wanted. And that's the part I can't forgive. That's the part I can't forget. That's the part I still live with. Days passed, then weeks. But the echo of that night never softened. If anything, the distance sharpened it. I kept telling myself that time would sort everything out, that the weight in my chest would fade, that the house would feel like home again. It didn't. Because the truth was simple and merciless. He had left the house, but he hadn't left me. His presence clung to everything. To the guest room he used to sleep in. To the coffee mug he liked. To the way the bathroom mirror still fogged up in the exact shape he once wiped clean with his hand. I hated how my heart reacted to nothing. A phone vibration, a knock at the door, a voice outside that sounded almost like his. It was ridiculous. It was humiliating. It was real. And then one night, when the house felt colder than usual, my phone lit up with a message I stared at for nearly a full minute before I touched it. I didn't move out to forget you. I moved out because I couldn't. I froze. My breath left me in pieces. He wasn't supposed to reach out. He wasn't supposed to say the one thing I didn't know how to hold. I typed, deleted, typed again. My fingers trembled. It was a mistake. That's what I sent. But halfway through setting my phone down, I whispered the truth to the empty room. It wasn't. Within seconds, another message came. If it was a mistake, why do you still think about it? I closed my eyes. He wasn't attacking me. He was asking the question I'd been running from. My reply took a long time, long enough that he probably thought I'd chosen silence. Because it didn't feel wrong, I typed. And it scares me that it didn't. His answer came fast this time. It didn't feel wrong because it wasn't empty. My heart stuttered. He continued, you think I don't know what this looks like? You think I don't understand the consequences? I do. But I also know what I felt. And I know you did too. My throat tightened. He always cut straight through my defenses quietly, gently. Like he saw parts of me even I pretended didn't exist. I didn't answer. I didn't know how. Minutes passed. Then he sent one last message. Tell me to let it go and I will. But if you don't say it, then I won't. I stared at that line like it was a cliff edge. Tell him, end it. Untangle myself completely? I should have. I knew I should have, but when I tried to type the words, when I tried to sever something that had already taken root inside me, my hands refused. Not because I wanted him, but because I wasn't ready to let go of the one person who had made me feel alive again. So instead of ending things, I did the most dangerous thing possible. I typed, not tonight. A pause. Then I'm still here. I pressed the phone to my chest and exhaled shakily. I didn't know if this would destroy us. I didn't know if it was the beginning of a disaster or the shadow of something deeper. But what I did know, what I couldn't deny anymore was simple. The story between us wasn't over, not yet. And when I finally opened my mouth to speak, nothing came out. Not a word, not a breath that made any sense. Because standing there, caught between what I wanted and what I knew I should want, I realized something painfully simple. He wasn't the danger. My own silence was. Say something, he whispered, softer this time. Not demanding, not pushing, just waiting. And somehow, that made everything worse. Because people who wait for you, people who look at you like that, they're the ones who can break you without ever laying a hand on you. I swallowed hard, my pulse uneven, my thoughts loud enough to drown out the room. It wasn't supposed to get this complicated. I finally managed, voice low, shaky. You weren't supposed to make you feel anything, he murmured. I closed my eyes, because that was the truth I had been running from. The messy, uninvited truth pressing against every breath I took around him. It wasn't what he did. It was what he made me remember. How it felt to be wanted, seen, not dismissed, not forgotten. And that was the kind of danger people don't warn you about, the kind that slips under your defenses and settles quietly behind your ribs. I don't want to make a mistake, I whispered. He stepped closer, but not too close, just enough that I could feel the tension, the pull, the unspoken question hanging between us. What if it's not a mistake, he said. What if it's the first honest thing either of us has felt in a long time? My breath caught. Because he wasn't wrong, and that terrified me more than anything. I looked up at him, really looked. And for a moment the world went still, like the room, the past. The consequences were nothing but silhouettes fading at the edges, and that's when it hit me. I was standing at a line I had drawn myself, and now I did know which side I wanted to stand on. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The air between us felt charged, stretched then, like a thread pulled tight, enough to snap with the smallest shift. And then he exhaled. Slow, controlled, but the kind of breath a person takes when they're fighting something inside themselves. I'm not asking you to cross the line, he said quietly. I want you to stop pretending you don't feel it. His words hit harder than they should have. Not because he was bold, but because he was right. I had been pretending. Hiding, wearing composure like armor, hoping no one could see the fracture beneath it. You think it's that simple? I whispered. No, he said. I think it's impossible, and that's why it matters. I felt my chest tighten, a slow ache spreading through me. He wasn't trying to tempt me. He wasn't playing some reckless game. He was being honest. Maybe too honest. And honesty is dangerous in moments like this. You don't understand what I could lose, I said, my voice barely holding steady. His jaw tensed, not with anger, but with something softer, almost painful. I'm not asking you to lose anything, he said. I'm asking you to stop losing yourself. I blinked, stunned. The room seemed to tilt for half a second, because no one had said that to me before. Not in years. Not in the way that makes your heart skid to a stop because it's the truth you've avoided. The truth you hoped no one would ever name. I looked away, because looking at him felt too raw, too revealing. But he took one small step closer. Slow, careful, and his voice dropped, roughened by something almost trembling beneath the surface. You're allowed to want something, he whispered, even if it scares you. My breath shuddered. Because he wasn't wrong, wanting him did scare me. Not because of him, but because of what it awakened in me. Because of the version of myself I thought I'd buried. The one who felt alive, reckless, open. I lifted my gaze to meet his, and the moment our eyes locked, something in the room shifted. A quiet breaking, a soft surrender, a truth unfolding between us even if neither of us said it out loud. I don't know what comes next, I admitted. He held my stare, steady, unflinching, like someone who wasn't backing away from whatever this was. Then let's just start with this, he said. No pretending. Not tonight. His words settled over me like a weight and a release at the same time. No pretending. Not tonight. I felt something inside me loosen. Not in surrender, but in honesty, like a knot I've carried for far too long finally exhaled. But the moment I let the honesty rise, fear rushed in right behind it. Do you even know what you're asking? I said, my voice low, steadier than I felt. He nodded, almost imperceptibly. I'm asking you to stop running from the truth we're both drowning in. A tremor moved through me, quiet but undeniable. He wasn't being dramatic. He wasn't manipulating. He wasn't pushing me towards something forbidden. He was simply naming the thing we had both tiptoed around for weeks, maybe months, the connection neither of us meant to create but couldn't escape. I shook my head, trying to find a safer version of the moment. You're too young, I said. He didn't flinch. Age doesn't change what's real. You don't know the cost. I'm willing to pay mine, he replied, voice rough with conviction. The question is, are you willing to admit you feel something too? I froze, because hearing it said that plainly, it was like he pulled the ground out from under me. My throat tightened, and before I could respond, he took one more careful step forward. No urgency, no rush, just quiet gravity pulling us closer than we should have been. His voice softened, almost breaking. You look at me like you're trying not to want something. Like you're afraid wanting it makes you wrong. A breath. But you're not wrong. You're human. The honesty in his tone struck deeper than anything physical ever could have. I dragged in a shaky breath, feeling every wall I had built start to tremble. It's not that simple, I whispered. He leaned, just slightly closer, close enough that I felt the warmth of him, close enough to feel every unspoken thing between us thrum like electricity. No, he murmured. It's not simple. It's real. My pulse stumbled. That word, real, hit harder than anything else. I finally met his eyes, and the look he gave me wasn't hungry, or reckless, or impatient. It was steady, careful, quietly devastated. Like someone who already knows the answer and is terrified he's right. I swallowed hard. This can't happen. He nodded slowly, not agreeing, but understanding the fear beneath my words. He let the silence sit between us, heavy and painfully honest. Then he whispered, then tell me you don't feel it and I'll walk away. My heart stopped, because that was the one thing I couldn't say, not without lying, not without breaking something in me. I opened my mouth, and that's exactly where everything shifted. I opened my mouth, but the words tangled somewhere between my fear and the truth. He watched me, not with pressure, not with expectation, just with that steady quiet heartbreak that comes from bracing for an answer you already know will hurt. My lips parted, but all that came out was a breath. He took that as the answer. Not the one I meant to give, but the one my silence delivered. A flicker crossed his face, not anger, not disappointment, something far more devastating, acceptance. He nodded once, slow, controlled, like someone gathering himself before stepping away from a ledge. Okay, he whispered, if that's your answer, I'll go. Something in my chest twisted so sharply it felt physical. I should have let him. I should have stepped back, and given him the space he was offering, the clean exit he was trying to make for both of us. But the second he shifted, the second he turned just slightly away, panic surged through me so abruptly it stole my breath. Wait. It came out softer than I intended, almost fragile. He froze. He didn't turn around. He didn't rush back. He just stopped breathing for half a second. And in that silence, I realized something horrifying. The thought of him walking away hurt more than the fear of what might happen if I didn't stop him. He turned back slowly, eyes searching mine with the cautiousness he had shown before, like he was afraid of breaking something delicate. "You don't want me to go?" he asked quietly. I swallowed hard. "No," I whispered. "I don't." It was the smallest truth, but it was a truth. And the moment I said it, the room changed. Not louder, not brighter, just heavier, like the universe itself leaned in to hear the next word. He took one step forward. Just one. And it was enough to unravel every carefully stacked wall inside me. "I'm not asking for anything more than honesty," he said. "Not a decision. Not a promise. Just the truth." I looked at him, feeling everything. The fear, the longing, the guilt, the electricity of being seen so clearly it almost hurt. The truth trembled at the edge of my voice. "I didn't stop you," I whispered, because a part of me didn't want this moment to end. His breath caught. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just real, painfully, quietly real. "Then that's enough," he said, and for the first time, neither of us moved away. For a moment, we just stood there, suspended, in that thin, trembling space where honesty hangs between two people like a fragile thread. Neither of us reached for the other. Neither of us dared to close the remaining inches, but the stillness said everything. His eyes softened, the tension in his shoulders easing just enough to show the truth he'd been holding back. "You have no idea," he murmured, "how long I've waited to hear you say something like that." A warmth spread through me, bittersweet, and dangerous all at once. "I shouldn't have said it," I whispered. "Maybe not," he said softly, "but it's still the truth." I looked down, because looking at him felt like stepping too close to fire. Not the kind that burns, the kind that exposes. "You make this harder than it should be," I said. He shook his head gently. "No, I think it was always hard. We're just finally admitting it." I exhaled shakily. "People will talk," I murmured. "People always talk," he replied. "But they don't get a vote in what we feel." His voice wasn't arrogant, it wasn't reckless, it was steady. The steadiness of someone who had made peace with the risk long before I ever let myself acknowledge it. I met his eyes again, and something inside me stuttered. Because for the first time I saw the vulnerability under his confidence, the fear behind his certainty, the quiet hope he tried so hard to hide. "You're not making this easy," I said. "I'm not supposed to," he answered. "Something real shouldn't be easy." My chest tightened, the truth of that settling deeper than I wanted to admit. He took one breath, slow, careful, and stepped just a fraction closer. Not enough to touch, just enough to feel the shift in the air. "Tell me what you're thinking," he said quietly. I hesitated, because the words I needed to say were the same ones I'd been avoiding for far too long. "I'm thinking," I swallowed hard, "that if I let myself want this, even for a second, I won't be able to pretend it didn't happen." His expression changed, softened, deepened, like he'd been waiting for those exact words. "Then don't pretend," he said. "Not with me." The silence after that was overwhelming. Not heavy, not awkward, just full of things neither of us had dared to name. And for the first time, I didn't step away. I didn't run. I didn't hide behind logic, or fear, or the thousand reasons this should never have happened. I simply stood there, facing him, and letting the truth exist, raw, uncomfortable, undeniable. He exhaled, almost trembling, and whispered, "Then let this moment be real. Just this. Just us." And I didn't say no. And I didn't say no. The realization hit both of us at the exact same time. His breath caught, not in triumph, not in satisfaction, but in something softer, almost shaken, like he hadn't actually expected me to let the moment stand. Like he thought I'd pull back at the last second, like I always did, but I didn't. And that changed everything. He took a slow, measured breath, grounding himself before speaking. "You don't have to give me an answer tonight," he said gently. "I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give." His voice wasn't steady. Not fully. Not the way he tried to make it. And something about that, the crack beneath the control, made the moment feel even more real. "I just needed to know," he continued softly, "that I wasn't the only one standing here feeling like the ground is shifting beneath my feet." My heart clenched because I understood that feeling far too well. "You're not," I whispered. And the truth of it spilled out before I could second-guess it. You never were. His eyes closed for a brief, fragile moment, like those words hit deeper than he was prepared for. When he opened them again, there was something raw in his expression, something unguarded and painfully human. You have no idea what that means to me, he murmured. I shook my head slowly, my voice barely above a breath. No, I think I do, because I felt it too, that dizzy, terrifying sense that we had crossed into a place where pretending wasn't possible anymore. He stepped just a little closer, careful, deliberate, leaving a breath of space between us, enough to feel the pull, not enough to cross the line. You're shaking, he said quietly. I know, are you afraid of me? No, I whispered. I'm afraid of what this could turn into. His exhale was soft, almost pained. Me too. For a beat, neither of us moved. The silence wasn't empty. It was thick with everything unsaid, everything we'd tried to bury, everything we'd run from. Then, voice barely steady, he said, we don't have to decide anything tonight. Not the future, not the consequences. Just this moment. I looked at him, feeling every fear, every hope, every pull swirling inside me all at once. And what is this moment? I asked. He held my gaze, unblinking, unflinching. The first time we stopped lying to ourselves. My breath shuddered, because he was right. And hearing it aloud made it impossible to go back to the silence we'd lived in. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the truth settle into my bones. So what now? I whispered. He shook his head slowly. Honestly, I don't know. But for the first time, I'm not afraid to find out. And for a heartbeat, a single, suspended heartbeat, I wasn't either.